show Grizzly, bitch.
What up, Militia? I'm Joe Grizzly, and when I'm not compiling a list of the best and worst films of 2025, I'm at the Grizzly Cave, watching and reviewing movies while, of course, crushing beers. And with Christmas over with and 2025 in the rear view, it's time to go over my worst and best films of 2025. So sit back, relax, open up a beer, and let's get to the list. This is Grizzly Grade Reviews. So before I get to my top 10 worst films of 2025, I want to go over a few biggest disappointments of 2025. These are movies that I still liked, but were severely let down by and had such very high expectations for, and they just did not meet those expectations. So once again, I didn't hate these movies, but they definitely didn't turn out the way that I wanted them to be, and they were, needless to say, a big disappointment in 2025. Now with all that out of the way, it's time to get to my top 10 worst movies of 2025, and I'm going to need a little liquid encouragement to get through this shitty list. Coming in at number 10 is Until Dawn, the survival horror video game adaptation that, quite frankly, is just a byproduct of what they do with most video game adaptations. They take a basis story and they completely go away from the source material, even though it is completely mapped out there for them. This movie had a couple of things going for it. It had some pretty cool kills, pretty graphic kills, to be honest with you, and it had a pretty cool concept. The problem is that we live in an era where video game adaptations have gotten really good or better than what they were. Not only with the success of the Mario and Sonic films, you have The Last of Us and the Fallout TV show, and both of those are great adaptations of those video games. So honestly, it's very inexcusable that a studio continues to fall into that same category where they want to constantly go away from the source material and just take the bare bones. It's lazy, and it's something that I absolutely hate. So that's why Until Dawn lands it right here at number 10. Coming in at number 9 was a pretty tough thing for me to do, but it is Hell of a Summer, the movie directed by Finn Wolfhard, and this is his directorial debut, and honestly, it's not a horrible movie. The problem that I have with it is a movie that was completely mismarketed, and that is not necessarily the movie's fault, but when you choose to do a camp time slasher movie and you still can't deliver, you instead deliver us this coming of age story with slasher elements, it just didn't work for me. And honestly, I'm kind of tired of these movies and TV shows taking horror elements to get people hooked in and then not either delivering at all or just delivering a little bit just to keep the audience engaged. And again, maybe Finn Wolfhard, he'll do better on his second outing, but next time, let's keep it to what you say it's going to be. Let's don't say one thing and deliver something else. You have one decent kill, the rest of the kills are kind of blah, and you really don't have that compelling of a killer, and the motive of the killer is very blah. So with all that, that is the reason why Hell of a Summer lands at number 9 on my worst of 2025 list. Coming in at number 8 is the latest from Osgood Perkins, Keeper, and it is very unfortunate that Keeper lands itself on this list because I like Osgood Perkins' films, but I believe what is going on right now is Osgood Perkins is putting out more quantity than quality, and this is a perfect example of how quantity does not equal quality. He's just doing a little too much right now, and it's starting to show in the writing department, because you have his masterpiece, which is Long Legs, and then you have a movie with that had me mixed in the beginning of the year that I ended up enjoying with The Monkey, and now you have this that I just quite frankly did not like at all, and I really wanted to like it. It's got some really cool visuals, it's got some very disturbing imagery in here, and it has a pretty good base story, but it doesn't know its own identity, and it doesn't know what it wants to be, and by the time it figures it out, it's too late. Tatiana Maslany is actually really good in this show, and I have been very critical of her in the past, and from her failure of a show with She-Hulk to her small role in The Monkey, and in this movie she actually shines. She's actually really, really good. It's unfortunate that the movie around her just isn't that great. And for those reasons alone, that is why Keeper makes it at number 8 in my worst of 2025 list. Speaking of quantity over quality, we have Drop at number 7. Drop is the perfect example of what Blumhouse does worse. You offer this bland paint-by-number story, and you give us a final girl or lead character that is so emotionless, she's just a damn robot. The script is so blah and plain, and there's hardly any tension, even though there are parts in it that should be tense. It's just all a bunch of unlikely, completely illogical bullshit of this whole situation of this guy wanting her to kill her date because he was the witness in some big murder case, and her trying to sneakily do this is just something that would never fucking happen. No date would ever buy into this shit. And for that reason, the movie just completely does not work for me. And there's a lot of stuff that happens that is very obvious who is who and what's going to transpire. The part that's actually fascinating to watch is the illogical bullshit. There are moments where if you were on this blind date with somebody and they started acting like this girl did, you would get the fuck up and leave the moment they go to the bathroom. And unfortunately, the guy didn't, and he almost died because of it. So for those reasons alone, for just a completely illogical and just dumb script that couldn't even be dumb fun because it is just so poorly written, Drop makes it at number 7 on my worst of 2025 list. Continuing with the bland and the blah, at number 6 we have Fear Street Prom Queen, the latest in the Fear Street franchise. And honestly, this could have landed in my biggest disappointment list, but unlike those other films, this movie fucking sucked. It was so bad. The problem that I have with it is that you have a main character that is completely devoid of emotion, just like a fucking robot. You have all the generic 80s nostalgia thrown in here. There's nothing in here that's done good like with Stranger Things or anything like that. It's all just, let's take all these 80s songs that are in every single 80s throwback movie and spit them at you again. And really, the style and everything that they used wasn't necessarily up to par with shows like Stranger Things. Some of the styles just looked like regular styles. I was just waiting on a cell phone to pop out here because they just didn't do a good enough job of convincing me that we were back in the 80s. But the biggest crime that this movie commits is the killer in this movie, and their motives is absolutely asinine. It is the dumbest shit. When it is finally revealed, you're like, that's it? That's why they did all this? This big elaborate plan and everything was done because of this? absolutely fucking horrible. And its connection with the other Fear Street universe is in passing. There's nothing that really ingrains it into this whole shady side legend that we get. And it's just, it was just super disappointing and super bland and just everything that you do not want in a modern slasher movie. And in a world where we're having a really good slasher resurgence, this kind of stuff will not stand. That's why Fear Street Prom Queen lands at number 6 on my worst of 2025 list. And now we are cracking into the top 5. And these films are, needless to say, absolute hot garbage. There is barely any redeeming qualities in these movies. Cracking into the top 5 is The Strangers Chapter 2. Yeah, I'm just as surprised you that it's not higher, but there are 4 other movies that are worse than this one. And that's really sad considering that you really think that a sequel to a movie that wasn't really good will be just a little bit better. And it's not. It's actually worse. No questions get answered in this. Nothing that was presented in the first movie is answered in this movie. In fact, we have more fucking questions. And it's crazy because these characters are scarier when they don't have an origin. They're scarier when you don't know a lot about them. The whole thing about them killing someone just because they are home is so much more terrifying than let's go through the psychological backstory of the strangers. And what's even worse about it is that they do it in these flashback scenes that have no context, and you don't know who the fuck is who, and you don't know what the hell is going on. And the lead girl here, I believe her name is Madeline Pesh, she is even worse in this movie. I know a lot of people have said, well, she's at least good in the movie. Who the fuck, what movie are you watching? Because she is absolutely horrible in this movie. She has no business being a lead in this movie or any movie. And I know I'm being pretty harsh. I mean nothing personal against that young lady. But when I tell you that she has like the emotional range of a turnip, that is something that I'm not exaggerating. The illogical moments that happen in this movie, the what the fuck was that moments that happen in this movie. There is a scene in this movie where out of nowhere our lead character is attacked by a pet boar. Yeah, I said it. A pet boar. So they go full-blown fucking hillbilly with this movie with no kind of lead up to that, with no kind of backstory. I guess it's getting wrapped up in the Strangers Chapter 3. Whoever the hell is going to go watch that. It's just, why did we get these movies? Who wanted these movies? Not I. And that is why it is sitting at number 5 on my worst of 2025 list. Coming in at number 4, which is a very big surprise for me because I was for sure this was going to be my number 1 of the year, is I Know What You Did Last Summer 2025. The long-awaited legacy sequel to I Know What You Did Last Summer that nobody fucking asked for. Nobody wanted it. And they do just what you think they're going to do. They go to the worst logical version of what that could be. And they give us a legacy sequel that is a little bit meaner, is a little bit more vicious, and the stakes seem to be a little bit higher. But unfortunately, they take the legacy characters and they misuse them almost as bad as Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 used their legacy character with Sally Hardesty. They take Freddie Prinze Jr.'s character of Ray, and they take Jennifer Love Hewitt's character, and they make them hate each other. These two characters that in 2 movies prior were absolutely head over heels in love with each other and always meant to be with each other and never really had any kind of a tension between each other. They've always loved each other. Out of nowhere, fucking hate each other. And then you take that even further by making one of them the killer at the end of the movie. Spoilers for I Know What You Did Last Summer 2025. I know that is something that you may have not wanted to know, but I'm saving you because when you take legacy characters and you turn them into the main antagonists, it 9 times out of 10 does not fucking work. And in this one, it definitely did not work. Illogical situations, really overly complicated plot, but at the same time, very obvious direction in where they're going. This movie fucking sucked. And then you had a girl power moment with an end credit scene between Brandy and Jennifer Love Hewitt. And to me, who gives a shit? I hope this sequel to this never gets made. And that is why it is sitting comfortably at number 4 on my worst of 2025 list. Coming in at number 3, the top 3, is a testament to my own self-torture, and that is Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare. Yep, I did it. I subjected myself to this pure, absolute torture of a shitty movie. And I don't know why these movies are continuing to get made, probably because dumbass people like me keep watching them. But I can tell you right now, I think I'm tapping out after this one, guys, because this movie was awful. You have the character of Peter Pan, and he's not really Peter Pan. You have Wendy in here as well, but he's really just a drug addict serial killer that kidnaps kids. And he doesn't really have any of these powers that he has in Neverland or anything. Neverland's really just a rundown house that he keeps his prisoners at. And it's very, very mean in how it treats its characters. There are somewhat Terrifier levels of violence here, but it's all mean-spirited. And that's something that really doesn't do anything for me. There are very gnarly kills and there's good gore effects in this movie, but I'm just not invested in this childhood nightmare universe or whatever the hell it's called with the Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, the Pooniverse or whatever the hell they called it. I'm completely not invested in this. I find these movies to be absolute dog shit, and they really don't have an audience. There is no audience for this movie. I don't know what Jagged Edge Productions is doing, and I don't know what the purpose of this is, other than to make a quick buck. And quite frankly, with the quality of these movies, I don't know how the fuck they're making any money. But they continue to do it. So I guess that us horror fans that are gluttons for punishment are going to keep subjecting ourselves to this torture. And that is why Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare comes in at number 3 of my worst of 2025 list. Coming in at number 2 could have also landed in my most disappointing movies of 2025, but instead it became one of the worst movies of 2025 for me. And there's a couple other reasons why this movie made the list, but I'll get to that in just a second. And that is Hell House LLC Lineage. I am a massive fan of the Hell House LLC franchise. I think it is one of the very few films here that have recently come out that have revitalized the found footage genre and actually made me a little bit of a fan of that genre. One that I never really cared for before, but now have this newfound love for it. And they completely went away from the found footage aspect and went live action. And aside from a few little creepy tension-filled parts, this movie is a fucking mess. And I don't know what the fuck happened in this movie. They bring back characters from other films to come in and tell this story and continue their roles in the overarching story. And it kind of goes nowhere. We don't really know what the hell is going on because it's written so poorly. You got this whole aspect that they took away when they took away the found footage. They took away the scares, in my opinion. And when you do a found footage film, sometimes poor acting can be masked with the found footage effect. Yeah, they really needed that with this because the lead in this character, who I believe was the lead in Hell House LLC 3, she is absolutely awful. She is a very bad actress, and I really hate to say that, but yeah, she is. She's bad. I don't like to trash actors and actresses, but her performance was just not good. And on top of all that, the night I went and seen this movie, my brand new car got broken into and the back window got shattered at and all my stuff got rummaged through. So it has like this dark cloud hanging over it just from that. So on top of seeing a really shitty movie, my car got broken into. So yeah, fuck this movie and fuck that night. Hell House LLC Lineage lands comfortably at number 2 of the worst of 2025 list. But coming in at number 1, and there is nothing close to this. Not a damn movie comes even remotely close to this movie. If I could have gave this movie a 0. I would have gave it a 0 because it is that fucking bad. And that is the War of the Worlds remake starring Ice Cube that aired on Prime Video this summer. Holy shit, this movie is awful. This movie takes the concept of War of the Worlds and it puts it in a found footage aspect, but also like that same style like with Host and Unfriended, where it's kind of a vlog or video call style. The entire movie, everybody knows Ice Cube can't fucking act. He's good in certain roles. He was severely miscasted in this role. Eva Longoria is in this movie. She's absolutely horrible. There is no good acting in this movie whatsoever. It takes that found footage aspect, puts that alien invasion in there, and then it gives the aliens' motive for why they're invading is because they're eating our data. Why the fuck would an alien want our data? Why would aliens want our data? These advanced organisms, they are good enough to establish interstellar travel, something that we haven't done yet. Why the fuck would they want our data, guys? Whoever wrote this movie, kudos for you for writing one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Ice Cube, like you dude, you absolutely sucked in this movie. Don't take roles like this anymore because holy shit, you were bad in this movie. Comically bad. I found myself laughing more in this movie more than I actually was intrigued by anything that was going on. And that's a testament to why it is the worst film that I saw in 2025. You can watch any of these movies if you want to. I recommend you not watch any of these movies. I recommend that you use your time more wisely than that. Some of these movies are low-hanging fruit, and they were destined to be on this list. And maybe that's cheap because I put them on there knowing it was so easy to put them on this list. But that doesn't change the fact that they all suck and they're all piles of shit. So watch them at your own risk. But let's get to my best of 2025 list. And these are all movies that I 100% recommend that you watch. Before I get to my top 10 best films of 2025, I want to go through some of these honorable mentions because I really enjoy these movies a lot as well. I recommend you check out all of these. They weren't quite good enough to make my top 10, but I really enjoyed them nonetheless. Coming in at number 10 is the latest in MCU, Fantastic Four First Steps. I absolutely love this movie. And for a time where we thought the MCU was on its last leg, along came the Thunderbolts and gave us a little bit more life. And that really got me excited for this film. And upon seeing this film, I was like, okay, there is hope left in this franchise. And I absolutely love the Fantastic Four First Steps. I thought that it was great representation of the first family of Marvel, which is essentially what the Fantastic Four is. And that was the thing that I really enjoyed about the movie, is this real big focus on family and on hope and on caring about people. I thought that they did such a good damn job of establishing these characters, giving them all the same identity that they hold in the comics, and I felt like all the performances were great. I think they did a good job of bringing Galactus to life on screen and actually making him the formidable threat that he is in the books. And I feel like they actually did a really good job of conveying the character of the Silver Surfer. I thought that Julia Garner did a great job, considering she doesn't have a lot of dialogue. Her mannerisms and body acting and everything was on point and on par with that character in the comics. I thought that they did a phenomenal job of bringing this comic to life on screen, and that's something that gives me hope for the MCU, because the MCU has been mediocre or bad for a very long time, and I'm hoping that this movie and then Avengers Doomsday and eventually Avengers Secret Wars is going to bring superhero movies from the Marvel Cinematic Universe back into the spotlight and be those highly anticipated films once again, and not just these movies that were highly anticipated and didn't live up to those expectations. I believe that that all stems from how good and how well done this movie was. And for that reason, it sits at number 10 on my best of 2025 list. Coming in at number 9 is Final Destination Bloodlines. And that is something that I did not think was going to happen at the end of the year, but Final Destination Bloodlines is great, and it might be the best sequel in this franchise. Might be one of the best movies in this franchise, if not the best movie in this franchise. And no, I'm not overhyping it, and I'm not doing the whole recency bias thing, because me and my wife went through and watched all these movies all over again. And when I tell you that this franchise is pretty rough, when in some parts, it's pretty damn rough. And this movie was just a breath of fresh air. Even though it is not perfect, there's certain things that happen in the final act that I did not care for. And the lead character could be a little bit more compelling and a little bit more likable. But when I tell you that the lore building and the world building that this movie did for this franchise, connecting so many dots throughout the franchise, the send-off from Tony Todd, him kind of foreseeing his own death within the movie in real life, was something that was bone-chilling and also very heartwarming, because he is one of horror's greats, and I could not think of a better send-off than this with his message that he gave in this movie. And that isn't the only reason why the movie is good to me and why it made this list. It's got fantastic kills. They are CGI, and some of them look bad, but it's the creativity. The creativity is finally back in this franchise. And there are a couple of other side characters that are just damn good characters. And this movie was just really enjoyable and one of the best theater experiences that I had this year. And it's really crazy that all this shit started with a fucking penny. And for that reason alone, for all that gory awesomeness, Final Destination Bloodlines lands itself at number 9 on my best of 2025 list. Coming in at number 8 is James Gunn's Superman, and I really debated on whether I was going to put Fantastic Four First Steps here or if I was going to put James Gunn's Superman here, because I liked them both a lot, but at one point I liked Fantastic Four a little bit more. But after doing rewatches, this Superman is really damn good. Is there a lot going on in this movie? Yes, but I feel like that James Gunn does a good enough job to establish this world around Superman and building this new DC universe that was not only necessary, but just, again, well crafted and done so well that it doesn't feel like it's bloated. It doesn't feel like there's a bunch of shit stuffed in here. It just gives you the world around Superman, and more importantly, it really establishes Superman's character from the get-go and how much more comic accurate of a Superman that we are going to get. And probably one of the biggest positives of this is that this Superman is not this invincible force that when he shows up, everything's done, everything's guaranteed to be saved. They make him beatable. They make him a very human Superman. And that is something that we have been missing for a very long time. I'm a huge fan of the Cavill Superman, and I like the Snyderverse for the most part. There's some things I didn't like, some things I did like. But when I tell you David Cornsweet embodies that character like probably most of the people before him, probably more than most of the people that have played the character before him, that's not an exaggeration. His character is just that well written, and he has the look and the mannerisms and the demeanor of Superman. And I feel like that all the support characters in here were done great. There's a couple of things I didn't like. that Gunn took liberties on that I don't really understand why he did so, but he did it, and hopefully he'll listen to the fans and we won't get those mistakes again. One being that Hawk Girl squats like a hawk the whole time she's flying. Dumbest shit I've ever seen. And the other being just making Mom and Pa Kent just pure stereotypical hillbilly farmers. Didn't really care for that either. But overall, I really liked it, and I thought it was a great introduction into the new DCU, and I can't wait to see what Gunn does next. And for that reason, it lands at number 8 on my best of 2025 list. Coming in at number 7 is a late entry to this list. It was a movie that I did not get a chance to see earlier in the year that I got to see later on, and it absolutely blew me away, and that is Dangerous Animals. What an incredible idea to have a serial killer be someone who is very savvy with boats, that runs like a tourist thing where you swim with sharks, and he mortally wounds his victims and then hoists them out on this crane and feeds them to the sharks while he videotapes it all. What an incredible idea that is almost perfectly executed by Jai Courtney. Jai Courtney's that guy that he has deserved his due for a long time. He's put in his work, and now with this role, I think that he has a lot of potential, and I hope that people see him in this role because he does such a damn good job. And this could be considered part of the sharksploitation genre of horror. So now we finally got another good shark movie, because let's face it, most shark movies aren't good. You have Jaws, you have Deep Blue Sea, and then you have everybody else, and all those other ones are either okay or really, really bad. Now we got another contender, because Dangerous Animals is fucking awesome. And if you like shark movies and you like serial killer films, I think you're going to like it. And for those reasons alone, Dangerous Animals lands at number 7 on my best of 2025 list. Coming in at number 6 is Bring Her Back, the latest film from Talk to Me directors, the Philippou brothers. And when I tell you that this movie is vile, dark, disgusting, and absolutely just fucking evil, I'm not exaggerating. And when you're asking me, how in the hell could a movie like that make your top 10 list of 2025? And that is because of the experience and the emotion that this movie displays. This is a movie that does not have a lot of rewatchability because it is too damn heavy. But when I tell you that the Philippou brothers know how to really display in full grotesque and horrific awe of how grief affects people differently. And they did it with Talk to Me, where you would just do whatever you could to talk to that loved one last time, or know what was going through their head when they did what they did. And with this one, they take the darkest side of that and come out with this concept of, what would you do to get back someone that you lost, someone who you cared so much about that died tragically? What would you sacrifice? Who would you kill? What would you do to get that person back? And it is the journey of our main villain in this that shows us what we would do if we were so hopeless and so destroyed and devastated by the death of someone that we cared about and that we loved so much. What lengths we would go to. And when I tell you that it is something that is so visceral and so human, it leaves you at a loss for words. It's one of those movies that they take this concept of this woman who lost a daughter, I believe, and the daughter is killed tragically or dies tragically, and somewhere along the line, the lead villain, she was part of a satanic cult. And she learned how to do these satanic rituals where they can essentially bring somebody back from the dead and put them, their soul, their essence, into a body. And when she becomes a foster mom, you find out that she has been trying to bring back her dead daughter all these years, and there has just been so many people's lives destroyed because of it. And our main characters are her latest victims. And there is moments in this movie that are just so freaking dark and so disgusting and so violent, the visceral violence in this movie, that when I was watching this movie, I seen this at a secret screening, and no one knew what it was going to be. It was one of those movies where you go in, you sit down, then the movie starts playing, you find out what it is. You don't know ahead of time. And there is a specific scene that involves a kitchen knife. And that scene, when it happened, the sound design in that movie is so well done that you don't have to look at the screen to know what is going on with this knife. You could literally look away and you know what's going on because you can hear every little sound, because the sound is so magnified on that one thing that is happening. And when I tell you that an entire group of people in front of me got up and walked out when that happened, that is something that I'm not exaggerating. I actually saw the majority of my theater got up and left, because that is how crazy and how heavy this movie really is. So it doesn't have a lot of rewatch value, but it is well directed, masterfully directed. These Philippou brothers, coming from YouTube and doing Talk to Me and now Bring Her Back, they have such a bright future in filmmaking, whether it be if they stick with the horror genre or if they go any other route. They do a fantastic job on all levels of filmmaking, and I can't wait to see what happens next with their next project. Allegedly, we're getting a sequel to Talk to Me, but we'll see what happens. If you got the guts to watch this movie, go right ahead. I found it to be incredible, just not rewatchable. But for those reasons alone, it made my top 10 of 2025 list. Breaking into the top 5 is one of the biggest surprises of the year, and that is Predator Badlands. When I tell you that I did not think this movie was going to be as good as it was, that is an understatement. This movie is great. What Josh Trachtenberg's doing with the Predator franchise right now, between Prey, Killer of Killers, and now this, is absolutely incredible. He has got his fingers on the pulse of the Predator fan base, and between him and what they're doing with the Alien franchise, where they're kind of intermingling them slowly but surely and making this kind of a shared universe, the future is bright for both franchises. I've said it once and I've said it again, but you can say what you want to about what Disney has done with the Marvel franchise, where they started out hitting the ground running and had 10 really good years where they barely made a bad film, if a bad film at all. And then they just completely start going downhill with each installment after that. You cannot say that with the Alien and the Predator franchise since they bought 20th Century Fox. Like, when I tell you, they have not only delivered us a fantastic Alien TV show, they brought us the best Alien sequel since Aliens. Then they brought us the best sequel in the Predator franchise probably ever. Then they followed it up with a great animated anthology that kind of expands the lore of the Yakuza, and now you give us this, where we get a movie from the perspective of the Predator in this grand high-adventure sci-fi fantasy movie that I absolutely loved. And it had a lot of doubts because it was starting out PG-13, but that did not take away from the gore in the movie. The only reason why the movie was PG-13 is because the gore was mainly from alien creatures and synthetic humans and not actual humans. You replace these things with humans, and this is one of the bloodiest movies of the year. And that is not the reason to go see it. The reason to go see it is to see the camaraderie between Dak and his robotic companion, and how Dak learns that family isn't just by blood. It isn't just his tribe that he belongs to. He can have a tribe of his own, and he can rise above and get the respect that he deserves and get revenge on his father for what he done to him. And for that reason, Predator Badlands is my number 5 of the top 10 movies of 2025. Coming in at number 4 is the newest Zach Krieger film, Weapons. And this was one of my most anticipated films of 2025, and it did not disappoint. It is not as good as Barbarian to me, but it is damn good. The camera work in this film, the cinematography, The lighting, the storytelling, the acting, everything in this movie is great. Julia Garner is awesome in this movie. Josh Brolin is great in this movie. And you have an absolutely despicable and vile villain that might be the best villain that we got this year. She is truly diabolical. And I love this plan that she had where she could use these kids as literal weapons. And I love the fact that this movie is part of a very underrepresented subgenre. It's either this subgenre is either really steeped in folk horror, or either it is something that is used in kiddie horror films. And when I say kiddie horror films, mainly Disney movies. This movie took that subgenre and made it relevant in today's society. And that's something that I really, really enjoyed and I really thought was so well done. I love the non-linear storytelling. I thought that was a very interesting way to get all these perspectives and then tie everything back into a nice little bow at the end. I just felt like this movie is just a testament to how great Zach Krieger is as a director and a storyteller. And on top of all that, he knows how to inject comedy in, because there was so much natural comedy in this movie that in times of great tension, something that was naturally funny would happen and it would go right back to being tense again, and it doesn't meddle the tone of the movie. It keeps the movie tense. It just gives you that quick little break where you think that you kind of let your guard down for just a second, only for your feet to get yanked back out from under you again. And that's just a testament to how good of a director and a storyteller that Zach Krieger is. And for those reasons alone, that is why Weapons is at number 4 on my top 10 movies of 2025. Coming in at number 3 is Ryan Coogler's first step into the horror genre, Sinners. Sinners is fantastic, and honestly, it's not fantastic because it's a horror film. It's fantastic because it is a damn good cultural period piece, taking place in the Mississippi Delta around the Prohibition era, where you have these guys that are two brothers that went to Chicago and worked for Al Capone, stole some money from him, and brought it all back to create a juke joint in their hometown in Mississippi to give their people a place to gather and have camaraderie. And then you just throw some vampires in on that, and then you get just this great movie. And none of it feels out of place. The movie doesn't feel like it's this thing first and this thing second. It takes this blues culture in the Mississippi Delta and the power of music, and how this music has all this power behind it, and how it transcends generations, and combine that and weave it into vampiric lore and why a vampire would want certain people that have certain cultural impacts. It's brilliant. It's a really good movie. It's a really fascinating movie. There's so much culture ingrained in this movie. I said culture about 100 times, but that's what this movie is. It is a cultural hotbed. And the one thing that I will always commend Ryan Coogler on is that Ryan Coogler will make a movie that is catering to one demographic of people. He is catering to one specific community, but he does it in a way, because he's such a damn good storyteller, that he does not alienate anybody outside that community. And that is something that he should be 100% praised for, because, man, I can't wait to see what he does next. Horror or any other genre, I want to see any Ryan Coogler movie from here on out. Until he makes a dud, I'm here to watch any of his movies. And for that reason, Sinners sits at number 3 on my top 10 of 2025 list. Coming in at number 2 is a movie that I've seen very early this year, and it has stayed in my top 3, top 5 this entire time, and upon a rewatch, it's still up there for me, and that is Companion. I absolutely love this dark comedy / cautionary tale of the dangers of AI, and not necessarily the cliche dangers of AI that we've been getting in movies like Megan and movies like AI by Blumhouse, but it's a cautionary tale of what we do when we play God. If we create something that thinks it's alive, that has a body, that has emotions, are they alive? Should you sit back and do something like this and just use it as a puppet when it has the ability to think for itself. It has free will. It's something that really made me think about a lot of things. And not only that, it made me laugh my ass off because this movie's funny as shit. Along with having all these horror aspects and these moments of violence and stuff. Sophie Thatcher is incredible in this movie. She is very quickly rising to the top of my list of being one of my favorite modern scream queens. And she hasn't taken over the top list yet, but she is getting there. She is at least in the fourth or fifth spot. And she is incredible in this. She's good in every role I've ever seen her in. And I can't wait to see what she does next. It also has Jack Quaid in it. And I think Jack Quaid, in everything he's done, he's been great. From The Boys to Novocaine to this. He has been absolutely incredible. And I like everything that he's into. And he plays an absolutely diabolical piece of shit in this movie. And that's something that I didn't think that he could do. And he pulls it off brilliantly. So if you like dark comedies and you like a little bit of horror comedy splashed in there, I recommend you check out Companion. And for those reasons alone, that is why it is sitting at number 2 on my best of 2025 list. But coming in at number 1, and it has been sitting at number 1 ever since I saw it, that is The Long Walk. There is no movie this year that has affected me emotionally and had such a huge impact on my soul like The Long Walk. And I am not exaggerating when I say that. When I saw this movie, I knew there was going to be some sad stuff in it. I knew that there was going to be some devastating things. I knew there was going to be some violence. And I did not know what the message was going to be through all of this. And I was kind of worried that it was going to be this inherent political message. And politics are going to be in stuff. There's nothing that we can do about that. But sometimes people push message over substance. And that was something I was really scared that this was going to do. And to my surprise and my delight, and it became more about a message of the willpower and the will to survive by humanity and brotherhood and all of these themes that just really fucking resonated with me. There isn't a bad character in this movie. From Mark Hamill playing the diabolical and fucking evil general to the bully kid that kind of has that cliche homicidal Stephen King bully vibe to him that completely turns out to be not true. He turns out to be just a lost soul like all of them. To Philip Seymour Hoffman's son being this beacon of hope and determination. To his co-lead being this absolute ray of sunshine and guy who got dealt so many bad things in life but just chooses to see the good in everything. The hope that movie instilled in me in the time that it was brought out was remarkable. And I don't know if it was because there was so much crazy, violent shit going on in our country at that time that it just resonated with me so well. But when I tell you that I haven't had a movie resonate with me like this in a long time. And it is one of the best Stephen King adaptations ever made. And I know that is a bold statement, but I would put this movie on the same level as a Green Mile or a Shawshank Redemption, or even a Misery or a Stand By Me, because it has the elements of all of those films, and it has the impact of all of those films. And it is an experience that I have never had at a movie, and that I probably won't ever have again. And I recommend that everyone watch this movie. It is devastatingly sad, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that. It's one of the saddest movies I've ever seen. But when I tell you that when that movie ended, I felt something. And that is the reason why I go to movies and why I love movies, is because I want to feel something. And this movie absolutely did that. And for those reasons, that's why it is absolutely my number 1 film of the year. Well, that's it. That's the best and worst films I saw in 2025. And I hope that you watch most of these films. Some of them I'm not going to recommend, but if you want to watch all these films, go right ahead. But you can't go wrong with these last 10, because when I tell you that all these movies were great and I had such a good experience watching all of them. So check those out, and I'll see you in 2026. Well, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you all so much for your continued support and patience. Without y'all, this channel isn't possible. And if you like this video, like it. And if you like it enough, please go over to the channel, hit the subscribe and bell button so you never miss a video. Also, please follow me on all social media platforms so you can get channel updates, movie news, and all sorts of badassery. Well, that's it for 2025, y'all. We've had some great movies this year. We've had some bad movies this year, but without a doubt, in my opinion, these are the 10 best movies I saw this year and the 10 worst movies I saw this year. So check all those out. And probably the next thing that I'm going to be doing to kick the new year off is I'm going to be giving my review of Stranger Things Season 5, Volume 2, and the finale. That's probably going to be the first video that y'all see this year. I appreciate all of y'all's continued support and patience. When I tell y'all that I do this because I enjoy doing it and because y'all continue watching it, that is something that is no exaggeration, and I thank you all so much. 2026 is going to be a big year, guys, and I can't wait to get it started. Let's hit the ground running and kick things off with a bang. I hope you all have a safe and happy new year, and remember, I'm Joe Grizzly, bitch.